So let's talk about risk, right? When you're buying some of these properties, there is some risk, and we should address this because you are rooting for yourself, right? You are trying to get this deal done. You have so much excitement and maybe pressure on you to find the perfect property, to find it quick, to get this going. You want to quit your job, so many different things. During this time, it's kind of easy to skip over or maybe fluff some of the due diligence part, right? This is where I think that I want to let you know that it's really you, right? Like you are the one here that's going through and double checking these things, that it ultimately, like, the buck falls on you. If you screw this up, right, you should know, hey, what are my risks? What's my worst case scenario? If I bought this property and the city told me no, or the city tells me yes, but you know what? Maybe I miscounted the funds. I didn't budget properly. I'm not able to do the deal. I'm not able to raise the money. I personally do not like risk. I will never do a deal where I can lose money. I like to do a deal where when I win, it's a great win. When I lose, I still win. Just maybe not nearly as much, right? But I don't like to ever lose money. My background is real estate. I've bought in hundreds of properties. I have the same type of investment strategy. I'm shooting for here, right? I'm hoping to get a home run, but you know what? Worst case scenario, I get a single, right? So I think it's important to evaluate this from that perspective. I don't think it's reasonable for you to buy a piece of property if you've kind of skimped on the due diligence, if you're just kind of fingers crossed, right? Like if you're gonna buy a property for hundreds of thousands or maybe even $1 million, and then it's like, well, the city clerk, the guy behind the desk said he loves the idea, he's sure it's gonna happen, but we have to go through these hoops, and it's a vote before the city council, and any of the neighbors get to sign a petition if they don't like it. No, that's not something that I think is an acceptable risk, right? Like, this is politics. People are playing games behind the scenes, just to put it out there for you, right? Like, I will only do a sure thing. And if it's not a sure thing, I will do one of two things. I'll either wait and I'll ask for more time period, or I'll back out of the deal. I've backed out of 2 deals and lost money both times. You know what? But that was acceptable for me to lose 10 grand each time and not lose hundreds of thousands by buying the wrong property. And the more important part is in not losing a year or more of my time, right? Like that is worth so much more than the 10 grand that I lost. I don't care about the 10 grand. I can make that back in no time, but I don't want to lose a year. That's worth a ton of money. So count the cost, consider the risk. If you are uncertain, right? If there's not 100% certainty you can deal the deal, what is your backup plan? If you bought this piece of property and you go through planning and zoning, or you go through fire marshal or whatever other hoops that are there, and maybe there's a small percent chance they can block you and they can say no. Do you have a backup plan? Can you sell this property? Does somebody else want it? Can you build something else on it? What can you do? And if you did have to sell it again, would you lose money? And how much money would you lose? Or if you found out in 3 or 4 or 5 months, you know, a definitively yes or definitively no, at that point, could you sell it? If it was a no, could you sell it and get your money back? Worst case scenario, you can get your money back and maybe you've lost 4 months. That's not really losing. I mean, you learned a lot of great lessons there. That there's, you know, kind of a win in that respect, because the second time you're going to nail it. So consider all of these things. But my advice to you is I never do a deal where I can lose money, right? I'm okay with losing a little bit, E&D, deposit, that kind of stuff, but I don't want to lose 100 grand and 6 months of time. That's not an acceptable risk to me. So consider what your risks are.